Come on, let's go.
That was crap. That was garbage. This place sucks.
Overreaction
Mondays.
Monday. On a Tuesday.
Nah, it's Overreaction Monday on a Tuesday. Everybody good?
No,
Hey,
I'm
guys,
not good
you
because you just threw me under the bus.
No, I actually was talking about the other mic, and I just was so excited. I jumped
hear
the gun.
Mike. I get all upset.
I was excited.
Okay, I'm good.
Might have been my fault.
Mickey Mouse team's
I'm blaming
doing
Tom.
Mickey Mouse things. You know what I'm saying, TJ? You all right?
I'm all right.
All right, let's get to it. Tom, so here's the game, in case, just a quick refresher, okay?
Yep.
I'm going
Bring
to
it
say
on.
something totally insane, and you say overreaction, or, you know what, I'm kind of buying that.
All right, bring it on.
Ready? First up, the Jets need to hire Bill Belichick right now.
Overreaction, in part because I do not foresee Bill Belichick under any circumstance taking an interim job this season. It's not in the fabric of who he is as a coach. There are cultural things, operational things he would want to get in place. It's not just plop him in and he thinks he's going to go out. Now, Bill's very confident. It's not that he doesn't think he can go out and win some games. It would not be set up the way that Bill would want it to. So, should the Jets pursue him after the season? There's a lot of history there, Brockman, as you know. I'm not sure that Bill would be hired as the HC of the NYJ again. There are a lot of teams, though, that will be looking at different options here. I don't foresee that with Bill Belichick, but there'll be 6, 7, 8 jobs that are open here. He's going to be a candidate for at least one of them. I can say that with relative confidence because he continues to prepare as if he's going to coach in 2025.
It's kind of interesting. Yesterday we were talking about just hot seats and like what coaches might be, starting to simmer underneath, their bottom a little bit. And now
And I said
suddenly,
I didn't think that there were any that were
right,
that
exactly,
close.
exactly. And you kind of
It's
teased it at the
unusual.
end of last hour. Like, now do some of these owners look around and go, "Oh, wow, Woody made a move. Like, we can make a move now." Like, what if the Saints start losing now? Does Dennis Allen suddenly is he in trouble?
Probably not, just because they've never made, Gail Benson's never had to make
neither did Woody
any
Johnson.
type of major move. I mean, Woody's fired people before.
But he's never fired in season.
No, but he's had plenty of opportunities to fire people. Gail Benson really hasn't.
Yeah.
She took over for her late husband, Tom Benson, and it's more or less, Sean obviously leaving. That was one thing, and then the trade that was executed, but they've never really had to. Mickey Loomis has been there. He's one of the longest tenured GMs. That would be something different. I would look at more in the places where there's a team that just has a very high frustration level where things are going badly. And do any of those types of owners start to go, you know what, if I'm going to make a move at the end of the season, why don't I just make it now? Try to shake it up.
Fun. All right, let's stay in the AFC East. Bills need to acquire Devonte Adams and or Hassan Reddick ASAP.
I would say they need to get another wide receiver. I think that's fairly apparent here. So I'll say not an overreaction. I don't think it's dire. Remember, they didn't have Khalil Shakir last week. He is the top receiver on the team. So that was certainly a factor in that game. If they could get Devonte Adams, I believe they would love to have Devonte Adams on the team. The complication is they're pretty tight up against the cap. The Raiders don't want to eat money on a deal. And Devonte Adams doesn't really know anybody there. Just all things equal, if I'm Devonte Adams or his agent, and I'm looking at this going, my contract has balloon numbers in 2025 and 2026 of $36 million plus. So I'm getting cut after this year anyway, or I'm getting a restructured deal with a new team. What do I need to do over the next 12 weeks? Do I want to go play and plus playoffs? Go play with one of my buddies, Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers, assuming that Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers, for that matter, are healthy enough to be playing for these next 2 weeks? Or do I need to just go and play with the best quarterback possible on the best team possible? You can definitely make a case that's the Bills.
Yeah.
Plus, there is no Garrett Wilson that you're competing for targets on.
Nope.
In Buffalo right now. There maybe not as even a Chris Olave or a Rashid Shaheed who are going to be high-volume type of players. I think that Buffalo makes a ton of sense. As of last night, it sounded unlikely. Did the events of the 24 hours since change that?
Right.
They're not out. I would say that. The interest remains there, but some things would have to change, particularly the Raiders' willingness to eat some money.
Yeah, Chris, and for him to go the whole way across country, I've been thinking about this all morning. Why would you leave the Raiders to go to the Jets? It's very collateral to me. But going to Buffalo?
I don't know. What if Josh Allen says, you know what, you can wear 17, I don't care. You take it.
He won't.
I'll wear
but
7. What's the big deal?
Well, and if Devontae also, he's played in cold weather before. He played for Green
Yeah,
Bay.
exactly.
He's been in snow and crappy
And
temperatures.
you're going to get 20 targets a game.
You might feel differently at a certain age about playing in those elements as opposed to the cozy confines.
To me, man.
The Jets don't make sense?
No, for Devontae, for now, why would he want to go there?
There's literally one reason. And it's the guy who was throwing passes last week that
I
Devonte
get that,
Adams
man,
has
but
caught a
now-
million times, and the other guys aren't.
Now you're stepping into a coach just got fired. Do you want to go through all of that again? Like, I don't know.
I think the key thing for Devonte, again, to remember is like it's a 12-game plus playoff rental with Devonte Adams. There's no you're tying yourself, the future, any of that. This is you're making a bet that it's you and Aaron, and that as messily as things split apart the first time. 'Cause remember, Devonte was out before Aaron.
Yeah.
Right.
Devontae is the
really
one
know.
who Aaron couldn't commit to playing again.
Bolted, yeah.
Then the Packers wouldn't re-sign Devontae at that time because they weren't sure how things were going to work out with Aaron. They end up getting the deal done with Aaron, but Devontae's like, the ship sailed, man. I told you to do this deal before last season. You didn't do it. Don't tag me. Take the picks. And they took a first and second round pick. And by the way, that's all worked out pretty well
Yeah, big time.
for the Packers. It did. The thought did cross my mind. Devonte Adams back to Green Bay. I don't foresee it. I don't think that that's realistic at this time. It would go against everything the Packers are about. They don't acquire players who are 30 years old plus to take reps away from a bunch of 22, 23, 24-year-old dudes.
Rookie quarterbacks are balling on the Overreaction Monday podcast, available where you ever get your podcasts and on YouTube, our YouTube channel. I said all three rookie starters are going to make the playoffs. That's Caleb Williams, that's Jaden Daniels, that's Bo Nix. All look really good, all over 500. Caleb Williams, guys, he's coming on. And the Washington football team, they're the who have they really played leaders in the clubhouse right now. Caleb Williams coming on is going to win Rookie of the Year.
I don't think it's an overreaction to say that's possible, which you said on this show 2 days ago that he's the slam dunk Rookie of the Year.
Jaden Daniels, yeah, of course.
Jaden Daniels
Yeah,
is.
well, things have changed. It's Tuesday.
That's the thing, is you watch it. Again, if Jaden Daniels doesn't come out and play the way that he did the first 4 games, we're all talking about, man, look at Caleb coming on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go back through history. How many quarterbacks have started? I mean, even Washington lost in week 1. Lost to the Bucs. It wasn't a very good game. But you saw Jaden week 2, week 3, week 4 all of a sudden start to light it up. If not for that, we'd be going, man, Caleb, he's gotten, week 1, 7 sacks. And then the following week they lose. But then since then, man, look at him. He's getting better. 106 passer rating against the Rams. Then absolutely torched the Panthers. And
85
hit those big plays.
QBR in
He
week 5.
looked really good.
Looked really good.
I don't think it's impossible at all. Because to your point, I mean, look at the upcoming schedule. How are these next several weeks going to impact this? Washington goes to Baltimore this week.
Tough.
So it's Jaden against Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
They're then home against Carolina, so you would think that's one where you're probably feasting. Chicago, the next 2 weeks, home against Jacksonville. You would think that that's going to be a positive for them based on how Jacksonville's played. Excuse me, that's a London game. And then the bye. And then guess what? Week 8, they're playing each other. Now, last year, Bryce Young beat C.J. Stroud, so I'm not saying the head-to-head's going to decide this, but the arrow is pointing up on Caleb Williams. And that shouldn't surprise anyone. It was going to take some time here. He's not playing perfect football, but he's playing better and better. The Bears are figuring out, how do we gear an offense around this guy better and better?
Flacco just torched Jacksonville. What do you think Caleb's going to do in London?
Well, Jacksonville defense is really bad.
Really
There's
bad.
been a lot of focus on Trevor Lawrence, and I think rightly so, because 2 weeks ago, they win that game over the Texans.
Yeah.
If he doesn't miss 2
Lawrence
wide
has
open
looked
dudes in
pretty
the end
good
zone.
the last 2 weeks.
The defense has been consistently bad, and they got too much talent on that side of the ball to be this bad.
Yeah.
You're paying Josh Hines-Allen a ton of money, and you're giving up, 38 points last week?
Brutal.
It's hard, man. Like, they got to overcome some things. But, yeah, you should be able to get after these guys, too. I think that this is going to be fun the entire season, the back and forth between those guys. We don't vote on those awards. I don't get to vote anymore at all because I lost my vote when I went to the NFL Network.
Hey.
But there's no voting on those awards till the end of the season here. So let this thing play out.
Huge game on Thursday, guys. If we just want to look ahead real quick, 49ers, Seahawks, both teams coming off losses. Chance for the 49ers here, guys, to drop to 2-4. San Francisco's reign over the NFC is over.
Whew. I think it's an overreaction because they've got one of the best coaches in the NFL in Kyle Shanahan. It is surprising that they have not been better. this season. I think on both sides of the ball. They haven't had that same domination on defense. And offensively, we talked about it yesterday. There's something missing there. Your quarterback is playing so well. Brock Purdy is playing so well. But it just doesn't seem like all the cylinders are firing at the same time. And a lot of that probably has to do with the fact that Christian McCaffrey has been a ball-dominant player in that offense. That's usually where it flows through. Now you got Jordan Mason, who's doing a lot of positive things, but he's still not Christian McCaffrey. Last week, Debo being completely invisible. They got to sort some things out. More often than not, we've seen the 49ers figure things out. They've had a lot of injuries through the early portion of the season. When you're roster building and playing your offense, you're not thinking, hey, I wonder if our first-round pick gets shot while shopping and misses like the first 2 months of the season. These aren't things you're thinking of. What if the running back that, by all accounts, the doctors are saying he's going to be back, and then the Achilles starts hurting again the week before the opener, he's a surprise scratch, and misses half the season? Like you're not thinking through that lens. Again, I think you have to, based on history, have faith in Kyle Shanahan, have faith in Chris Foerster, the offensive line coach, who's really good at his job. Defensively, obviously, they've had a lot of changes. I don't see Robert Saleh coming back to save the 49ers and take over that defense. I don't see Kyle doing that to Nick Sorensen at this stage. Brandon Staley's in that building as well. You've got guys with strong defensive backgrounds here. And I don't know that you've got a team in the NFC West where you say that team is taking over. In other words, you're asking about the NFC. And I think that there are some really good teams in the NFC. When you go through, the Vikings are playing. They're the only unbeaten team on that side. The Lions have looked really good. Yep. The Packers have dealt with a lot in terms of the quarterback. That's just in the NFC North. And all those teams look pretty good. The Cowboys are going to get better. They're banged up right now, but they found a way to grit out a game.
Philly should be getting Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown back.
You would really hope Philly's going to be good.
Yeah.
Atlanta, every game is heart-stopping right now.
Right.
But they've gotten things done, and Kirk's playing at a good level, and you're starting to see those young weapons come on. There's a lot of teams, but I don't know that you look at one and just go, that team is the dominant one in the conference. Vikings beat the 49ers.
Yep.
They did. Take nothing away from them. I'm not ready to say it yet, and I'm not ready to say there's any team in the NFC West that is going to keep the 49ers from winning that division again. Huge game. Thursday night to kick off Week 6.
It's going to be fun. All right, two more. We just heard from Mike Tomlin earlier. We were talking about it. What's going on there? Quarterback situation. Just do it. The Steelers should start Russell Wilson this week.
I don't think it's an overreaction. As my phone starts playing, I got a Twitter alert from you posting a clip from Rich.
I did.
And there's my voice in that clip. I was trying to mute the alert. We just got this. We're
multitasking.
Black and gold. Here we go.
Live TV, baby.
No, I do not think that it's an overreaction to say you should start Russell Wilson. Because if not now, when? Now, one thing I would add here is that locker room loves Justin Fields. And you can see it. Everything I'm told is those guys are rallying around him. He's a dynamic player. Russ is he's at an older age. There's not many guys in their mid-30s on that team. A lot of times we've seen this phenomenon all over the NFL for years where sometimes guys kind of start to gravitate toward that younger quarterback just because he's the one who's still at the same phase of life. Now, Russ has also been great in the locker room, from everything I've been told, great in the community. He's doing all those things. He's got to be getting frustrated at this point. He's got to be feeling like, I was the starter coming out of camp. We've lost 2 games in a row. I'm healthy now. You're saying I'm healthy now. And I'm the 2? I thought this would be the week where we might get Mike Tomlin coming to the podium today and saying, Russ is now healthy. He's the starter. And I don't think that would have been an overreaction. I think that would have been a natural progression of him. The only announcement he's made about the quarterback at all this entire year is Russell Wilson's our starting quarterback a few days before Russ popped the calf again and missed the first 5 games. Is it going to take Justin Fields not playing well against the Raiders? The Raiders have their problems, okay, but they still have Max Crosby and they still have Pat Graham, the D coordinator, who's hard to go up against. Does Justin Fields need to struggle in that game? And then Russ is coming off the bench. Do you go through this week and once again you say Russ is the 3 and then you give Justin Fields one more shot? That bye is still a few weeks away here. This is a really interesting decision for Mike Tomlin because he is going to have a situation on his hands where if Russ isn't starting, if it becomes apparent Russ is now officially the number 2 quarterback, he's going to want to go someplace else and play. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Steelers would be interested in trading him. They went through 3 quarterbacks last year on the way to the playoffs. Oh. Why would they trade the guy away? but you open the door to some different types of things if you keep him on the bench.
All right,
I still believe he ends up playing at some point this year, probably sooner than later.
Before the bye or after the bye?
Before.
Last one. There are only 5 teams in the NFL, guys, with 0 or 1 loss. Okay, we're talking about Kansas City won last night.
Which is a wild stat, by the way.
Wild stat. Houston's 4-1. Okay, Minnesota 5-0. Washington 4-1. That's crazy. Detroit on the bye last week. They are 3-1. Only one of those teams is going to make it to championship weekend in January.
Only one of the 5 teams. Name them off again. Vikings, Chiefs, Lions,
Chiefs, Lions, Commanders, Texans. Only one make championship weekend.
So you're basically the question you're asking is an overreaction to think none of those other, that there's a bunch of those other 3-2, 2-3 teams.
Right.
They're all going to be better.
I think there's a lot of good teams at 3-2 right now.
The Ravens are sitting there at 3-2.
Ravens,
the Bills are 3-2.
Buffalo. We get a surprise team like the Broncos, Atlanta, Seattle, Dallas,
Packers,
Green Bay, Eagles.
I think it's an overreaction because the Chiefs have never not been there. So there's your one. Okay?
There's one.
So basically you're asking, are none of those other 4 going to get in? I'd say no. I mean, the Lions are a really good team. The NFC's wide open. The Vikings at 5-0. The Lions at 3-1. The Commanders are the one that I think we still, I mean, they look really good. Dan Quinn has done an unbelievable job totally changing the vibes around that building. Laughingstock franchise. You get Jaden Daniels in, you get Dan Quinn in, and you flip it. Who's the other team? The other 4-1 team?
We go to Houston.
Houston is the other one. Now, I saw Houston get their doors blasted off in Minnesota.
Yeah, that was kind of surprising.
It was a surprising game where they just didn't seem to have it. You know, in hindsight, maybe they would have covered Justin Jefferson a little differently early in the game. Maybe have somebody follow him. They went in with a different approach. Jefferson got on the board first. And then offensively, they didn't have Joe Mixon. They haven't had him, though, and they've overcome it the other 2 weeks. Vikings are a really good team. The Texans are playing really well. I will say it's an overreaction to say all those 4. The Chiefs don't even count. They're the one.
They're the one. That's it.
And then there's 4 other teams. Do one of those 4 end up in the final 4? I will say yes. I think it's an overreaction to say it'll just be the Chiefs.
That's a wrap. Nice job, Tom.
They've never not been there.
I get it.
It's the wildest run of all time.
I originally wrote that as 2 will make it, but that's not hot. Hot is saying only 1 makes it.
I mean, the ultimate hot would be the Chiefs don't make it. And you watch them, and you don't see a dominant team. We didn't see a dominant team till January last year.
Right.
Not offensively. Defensively, they're still really, really talented.
Defensively, they're really
Steve
good.
Spagnuolo does an unbelievable job. The only thing that can stop the Chiefs at this point, besides something happened to Mahomes, is something happened to Spags. I'm talking about getting a head coaching job, not like he drops dead tomorrow. I'm saying the only thing would be if all of a sudden Spags is gone and you make the wrong hire or you can't keep that same. He's one of the best defensive minds in the game. You know, that's really the only thing that seems like it's going to stop the Chiefs because they just find ways to make it work.
Right, and watching the game, TJ, I know we've talked about this before. I think watching last night is when I really began to think, oh, they really are the Patriots 2.0, because you look at all those years, Tom didn't have superstar wide receivers. It was David Givens and it was Deion Branch coming back after they traded him. And, they're just kind of making it work. But the quarterback, 15, is still there, just like 12 was always there. And they just figured out a way. I mean, Patrick Mahomes had his highest passing yardage game of the year last year. He had over 300 yards for the first time in a long time. And the defense really dominant. You saw it especially on the last drive when Derek Carr was out. It's all cooking for them, and I think they're only going to get better, which is crazy because they're 5-0.
Jake Haener, he was slinging it. They didn't make any plays on the balls he threw, but he looked like he belonged. Put the ball on Chris Olave down the sideline on that 4th down.
That was nice.
Did you run a 25-yard jump ball to a receiver in that situation? I don't know. I'm not calling the plays.
Probably not.
Look, it's like I've been saying all offseason when we thought, can the Chiefs three-peat? And what I kept saying every single time is, as long as number 15 is alive and kicking, how this team, you've got to look at them as a favorite. He threw for 300 yards and no touchdowns, and they still handily won that game. They're out there playing with people. They're like on my flag football team for 8-year-olds, right? We got a play called crisscross applesauce.
Good play.
This is what they're out there doing. Kelsey's chucking the ball to a guy flying down the sideline. Mahomes was saying it was like he's out there playing with his kid. He was annoyed by it. Like, they're toying with people, guys, and everyone else, like I said earlier, is just in trouble. Like,
Well, and there is something to be said for if other teams do those gimmicky things, and a lot of times they don't work. It's what a bunch of idiots.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they calling that stuff? Just run a real offense. When Andy Reid does it, you're like, this is probably going to work.
Yeah, right.
This is probably
They
whatever
practice
they come
this
up
stuff.
with here. Yeah, it's probably gonna. It's probably gonna.
Is
it's
anyone
gonna work
better-
I
out.
said yesterday they practice this stuff
Yeah, of
during the
course.
week.
Is anyone better at lateraling the football out of nowhere than Travis Kelce?
No.
Even better when Kadarius Toney isn't on the team to be offsides.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.